What's up, everybody? I've finally returned to the YouTube channel. Been crazy busy lately, so apologies for not posting. But I must be the type of person who gets hyped up way too easily because as soon as I saw this book come across my Instagram Reels feed, along with the description that came along with it, I had to give it a read. And for those of you who have absolutely no idea what this book is about, allow me to enlighten you. To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast is a dystopian romance novel about a bounty hunter named Raven who gets herself imprisoned in a deadly prison called Enlock to save her brother, where inmates are hunted for sport by the wealthy. Inside, she must navigate brutal survival games and a forbidden romance with a prison guard, Vale, while trying to escape. The book is praised for its fast-paced action and themes of survival, found family, and enemies to lovers romance, drawing comparisons to The Hunger Games and Divergent. I don't know about you guys, but I'm always on the lookout for new dystopian books. They need to make a rise again. And I loved The Hunger Games and I love Divergent, so I thought, why not give this book a try? I guess I must be kind of naive because I assumed if the author was advertising it as like Hunger Games meet Divergent, that it was going to be YA. It wasn't until I was like halfway through the book that it just dawned on me, this is definitely not YA. This is a new adult book. Should have done more research before starting the book, but I guess that was my fault. I was actually so excited to start this book that I didn't even check the Goodreads reviews before I started it. But on behalf of you guys, I checked those. And currently, it has 4.03 stars, which is actually pretty good. In my opinion, books that are above 4 stars are like stellar, out of this world books. At least for the general population, they are. But I'm kind of picky, so that's not always the case for me. But To Cage a Wild Bird sounds unique, it sounds promising, but now for the big question. Did it deliver? In short, no, it did not. Okay, so our two main characters, Raven, our FMC, Vale, our MMC. I like it when they have a little bit of a backstory, a little bit of depth to them going into the book. That way it's easier for me to plot myself into their shoes, relate to them, actually be more involved with the trials they're going through, the challenges they're facing. But for Raven and Vale, I feel like I was just like, they were just like written on the page. It wasn't like playing a movie in my mind, which when I get really into a book, it's just like a movie playing on in my head. But Raven and Vale, they didn't have, I feel like they were surface level characters. They didn't have a lot of oomph to them. They didn't have a lot of backstory. And because of that, they didn't feel genuine. And totally unpopular opinion right here, but I'm the type of person who usually roots for the male main character over the female main character because they bother me a lot less for the most part. But I was not a fan of Vale. I did not like him. Straight up did not like the dude. As soon as he was introduced, I just did not have a good feeling about him. I didn't enjoy the romance between him and Raven. It felt forced. It felt like they were only attracted to each other because of the way they look, which is pretty shallow. It's really shallow. Not sure if the author intended to write it that way, but that's just the vibes that I felt. And right off the bat, it sounds like there's going to be high stakes, and there is. Raven is literally in a prison being hunted to the death by the wealthy because she broke the law. And I just, because I wasn't emotionally attached to the characters, I wasn't emotionally attached to the storyline. Just because of that, it didn't feel like the stakes were really high. And without spoiling anything, there were some situations that Raven went through when she was in Enlock. But the outcome of those situations felt very predictable. And they didn't keep me glued to the edge of my seat. It was kind of It's kind of a drag to keep reading. Again, I must have been pretty naive because I went into this book thinking in this brain of mine that it was going to be clean, no spice, and boy, was I horrifically wrong. The spice was pretty detailed. I tried to flip through it as fast as I can. My problem with that though is because sometimes during those explicit scenes they say something that's important to the plot. From what I remember, they don't. So feel free to skip over it because it's not important at all to the storyline. As for the language, yes, it's there. The F bombs dropped a few times, quite a few times, along with other minor cuss words. The world building felt a little lackluster. It was just not as in depth as I would have liked. I do prefer my worlds to be quite extensive. I feel like the more extensive and deep they are, the more unique they can be. It does have the pretty black and white, the good versus evil in the dystopian books. Of course, it's the evil government. Of course, the rebels are trying to rise up against the government. So that was the standard dystopian plot. For reference, here's my rating system. I would rate this book 3 stars. There were a couple scenes that were intriguing, and I did enjoy them. But for the most part, it was pretty predictable. It was a little bland. For a debut novel, it was pretty good for a first-time author. But was it worth the hype? No. Sadly, I probably will not be continuing the series. But if you enjoyed the book or if you want to continue the series, by all means, go right ahead. Let me know what you think of the book in the comments. And that's it for this video. Catch you on the next one.